Hello, and welcome to this week's non-version of Co-op the Podcast.
It's a very special version of Co-op the Podcast. Special.
Maybe.
I think it's special, you ass.
It's something. I'm your host, Jesse, the better host.
That's rude. What does that mean? Who is that referring to?
I think it's
Do
pretty.
you mean Ginny or me?
I think it's pretty self-explanatory in the title of better host that I'm just the better
All
host
right.
in general.
Anyways, I'm the favorite host, Raven.
I think better also means I'm favorite.
No, I'm way more popular than you. We all know this. Everybody loves me.
Yeah, I like you.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So today is a super special podcast because Jesse and I are not going to be talking very much. We're going to give you a sneak preview of Book and Bitch Pod, which is coming out actually this upcoming Thursday, which is August 1st.
Yep.
Dial into that. It's going to be like a little snippet of the episode to give you a little taste.
Right. And this is the benefit of listening to our podcast. You'll be right quick in the know on what's going on. Yep, exactly. So, we think you guys will really enjoy it. Raven is the host of that podcast, along with our friend Ginny.
Our beautiful sunshine butterfly, Ginny Kubel, at GL_Kubel_. Writes. You can follow her there. I'm not going to get too much into where you can follow all of us because that's actually going to be in the preview. So,
yeah. Instead, let's see. Is there anything we want to announce for our podcast while we've got the time?
No, this one's coming out. Book and Bitch is coming out August 1st. So listen to that every Thursday, every other Thursday, basically.
Twice
a month. Actually, in August, it's going to be 3 times that month because it's a ridiculously long month. A lot of Thursdays. So you'll be able to hear it on those days. You can also find us at Co-op the Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yep, or go to patreon.com/co-op the podcast to support us there.
Both Co-op the Podcast and Book and Bitch. And then also, if you're a Patreon on Book and Bitch, we're actually going to release the first episode of Book and Bitch on Tuesday. So today, it's already on our Patreon. So our patrons get to listen to it first.
Yep.
But if you're not a patron, then you get it on Thursday, like the rest of the world.
Like some plebeian.
Like a plebe.
Yep. You can go visit our website, too, though, at coopthepodcast.com.
Yes, indeedy. And then starting August 13th, I'm going to be on Scraticus Academy again, playing Dungeons & Dragons. You can meet us there. More information is coming out about that later. Any
big announcements in the world of awesomeness that we want to share? I don't think so. I think it's been a nice, quiet, relaxing week.
It's true.
At the end of July, leading into August.
Yeah. I think only the Book and Bitch podcast is
the biggest thing coming out in the world.
How about we let these folks hear it?
Yep, sounds good. We'll pass it right off on to Book and
Ginny.
Bitch.
Yeah. To Ginny. I think she's first.
Yeah.
Okay, enjoy, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy. Okay, bye.
My name is Mary Catherine Blackwood. I'm 18 years old, and I live with my sister Constance. I have often thought that with any luck at all, I could have been born a werewolf, because the 2 middle fingers on both my hands are the same length. But I have had to be content with what I've had. That was a quote from Shirley Jackson's We Have Always Lived in the Castle, which is the book we're discussing for our very first episode. My name is...
This is so good! I love it!
I was like, is this not good?
No, it's so good. I'm trying to contain my joy. Who are you? Tell me who you are.
Well, I'm Ginny Kubel. I'm one of the co-hosts for Book and Bitch. My other co-host is...
Hi, I'm Raven Welch. And yes, welcome to Book and Bitch. And what? Oh my god, ow. I just broke my knee. Welcome again to Book and Bitch, where we will have a curse or two in this podcast when I bang my knee against my desk. And yes, what a good quote from the book we're discussing today, which is We've Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. Mm-hmm. And so let's just kind of give you a brief rundown on our podcast. So Book and Bitch is kind of an idea that Ginny and I had because we both really love books, even though I can't tell you what my favorite book is.
It's because you love too many books.
I love all of them. Yeah. But we decided it'd be really fun to kind of open our discussions about books to the world. Yes. That's you guys in this mic that I'm looking at right now.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited too. So yeah. Let me look. We have like a whole script of things that we want to talk about. So basically this book is going to come out every 2 weeks, usually twice a month. August is a really long month, so we'll actually have 3 episodes this month, so you're welcome. We're so generous.
Exactly. It's like a bonus episode.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Bonus content. The Easter egg.
Yes, the Easter egg, just because the month is super duper long. Yeah. And yeah, we'll tell you about the book. You can join along with us, especially if you follow us on Twitter or Instagram at Book and Bitch Pod. Where else can they find us, Jenny?
Ooh, on our website, bookandbitch.com.
We have a website. Yeah. www. I mean, it's legit.
It is legit. We didn't do like WordPress.bookandbitch or anything.
Hell no.
Just Book and Bitch.
Just Book and Bitch. Bookandbitch.com. There's actually a calendar at the bottom of our homepage, which gives like the next episode and what that book is. So this one's We've Always Lived in the Castle. Our next one coming out August 15th is Where the Crawdads Sing.
Yeah, so if you want to read ahead or read along with us, definitely can.
You can also join us. We don't have a specific Patreon yet for Book and Bitch, the podcast. But this is kind of a baby podcast of a podcast that I'm on, Co-op the Podcast. So if you're into nerdy stuff or just hobbies in general, including books, go listen to that. And if you want to give us money, Ginny and I... Money. Yeah, we love it. Money, please. Come, go to patreon.com/co-op-the-podcast, where you can also give us a little bit of money, and then you have access to what we're going to have in the future, which is a Discord channel where we actually, a Book and Bitch Discord channel where we're going to talk about the books, like, as we're reading them. You might get extra, like, content. You might know about the books we're going to read before anybody else does.
So you can read ahead of time.
You can read ahead.
Get cool little trinkets and things.
Oh my God, so many trinkets.
We've got all kinds of ideas.
It's true. Jenny, how about you tell the audience about yourself?
About me? Well, let's see. I feel like I'm kind of a very boring person.
You're not. You're like the least boring person I know.
Well, let's see. I really love writing. I would say that's probably like my main thing. I love writing. Oh, thank you so much. I love teaching writing. I love talking about writing. I love the actual physical act of writing. I like reading other people's writing.
Which we actually talked about so if you are listening to Co-op the Podcast, if you're not, again, go to that area. But Jenny was on our Game of Thrones episode where she talked about teaching writing, and like she's really our go-to for writing. She's the book to my bitch.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I think you just came up with a new tagline.
I think I
did. Yeah. Well, this is kind of how it all started too, because we got on Co-op and we ended up kind of monopolizing the conversation with books, and then we were like, wait a minute.
Wait, let's get back to like we started talking about Harry Potter and we're like, that's not the idea of this episode.
This is Game of Thrones only.
Gosh.
Which is a book technically.
Yes, technically. Which I haven't gotten to read all the way through. Jessie has though, so you guys had really great book.
It has been so long since I've read through the books though.
Should we make that a... No, I'm not even going to suggest, like, we try to do an episode.
Read all of them?
Like, read all of them? No, absolutely not.
No. I'm just going to pretend like I read all of them.
Not even, like, I don't even think we could do that with, like, Harry Potter.
Yeah, no, I think that would be too much. We'd have to break them.
Just pick one. Ooh, let's break them up.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay,
there we go.
we'll do like 7 episodes of us just reading Harry Potter. And they're like, is this a Harry Potter podcast now?
Wait, when's the Harry Potter like month on? It used to be ABC Family. I think it's something else now.
Well, Ginny, that's a December and
October,
and I think there's some in like March. I think so.
I was gonna say we could coordinate with that, but I guess I think there's any month goes.
Yeah. How about this? How about we ask you a couple of questions? So, so we came up with a few questions. I'm not just like the best interviewer in the world where I'm just coming up with questions off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But what book would you like to see turned into a movie?
Ooh, I would really love to see Motherless Brooklyn by Jonathan Lethem turned into a movie. The characters in it are like so rich and vivid that I think to see them come alive on screen would be so interesting. And I will say this. When we were thinking about what we were going to answer for these questions, I was like, I better look this up to see if it's not a movie already. It's about to be a movie. November 1st.
Which, we're kind of doing something, so we're reading a book at the end of August. If you haven't been to our website, go look. It is the movie the book It by Stephen King.
Yeah.
And we're reading it so that when the movie comes out, we can watch it and we can discuss.
Compare.
Yada, yada. We should do that with that book, obviously.
You should. It's such an interesting
Because I've never read it.
Oh, it's so interesting. It's about this man that has Tourette's. And he's living in Brooklyn, and he's motherless.
How Brooklyn of him.
I know, right? And he, like, falls in with this gang of, like, other kind of, like, kids and people that don't have mothers or, like, a family. And kind of along the way, he, like, becomes a detective of sorts.
Oh,
but he has Tourette's, and that obviously kind of gets in the way of being, you know, a little bit sly and sneaky.
You're not as good at being those things when you have Tourette's.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I don't think that it keeps you from being a sly, sneaky detective.
No, but it throws some challenges your way.
Yes.
Yeah. So
okay.
It's a good book.
100%. We're going to read it now.
Yeah.
How about this? Who's your favorite author?
Ooh. So Shirley Jackson is one of my favorite authors. But since we're already highlighting her.
Yes, today. You over here making popcorn
I know,
sounds.
I could hear it. I was like,
it's
what am I touching?
Jesse's fault. Because she's on
Jesse.
Jesse's side of these desks. Jesse is my co-host in Go Up the Podcast.
He was kind enough to lend me his side. I shouldn't complain.
Yeah, no, he's like, we have to get Ginny a little section for her to decorate and stuff. I'm like, oh my god, that's so nice. Does that mean I have to put car stuff on my side when Richard and Jesse ultimately start whatever podcast they're gonna? Yeah, their car podcast.
Oh,
so, okay, but go on, Shirley Jackson, but not.
Yeah, for this one, I'll go ahead and say Zadie Smith. Zadie Smith is by far one of my favorite authors. I would absolutely love if I could meet her in person someday. She lives in New York.
Hey, Zadie Smith.
Yeah, if you're listening.
If you're listening,
please come to the Pacific Northwest. She teaches at Columbia, though. Creative writing.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't know she taught there.
Yeah, she lived in England for a long time, and then I think she came over here specifically for that job.
Oh,
I could be wrong. Cool. Please don't hate me, Internet, if that's wrong.
They won't.
Okay.
They can't hate you.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But she's super cool. I would love to meet her. And she's such a fashion icon, too.
I know. She's so fashionable. We're going to talk about fashion in this podcast. Yeah. We have to.
It coincides.
It does. It really does. How about your favorite poet?
Ooh, definitely Wallace Stevens.
Oh,
Sunday Morning.
Yes.
Sunday Morning is the one poem that I've read over and over and over and over. It's almost like my security blanket poem.
Yes.
Like any time during my life where I'm like, I just need to focus and be calm.
Oh, Sunday Morning. It's one of those. Okay.
Yeah. So Sunday Morning is super long. It's broken into a couple of different sections, and it spans many pages. Reading it out loud takes about 7 to 8 minutes in total.
It's not an option.
Yeah. Actually, when I was in college, I ran our literary publication, and we used to do open mic readings all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And for our very last one, I was like, okay, guys, I'm a senior. This is my absolute last one. You all have to listen to me read Sunday Morning.
Excuse me while I take up the entirety of your evening.
Yep, exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
But yeah, why don't you tell everyone about yourself?
Okay.
And I'll ask you some questions.
Oh, yes. Okay. So again, my name is Raven. Like I said, I'm in a podcast about nerdy things. I love really everything. I'm very interested in like fantasy, and then also I really like historical fiction, which is kind of just off. I don't know why. I think it's like my dad is a history teacher, so I've always been a little bit more interested in history. But those are kind of the books I like. But I mean, I end up talking about just literally anything creative all the time because I'm very much into like tabletop RPGs. So I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, which is a lot of like creative thought process. There's a lot of like backstory that goes into it and creating your own story. And then recently I've been doing a lot more dungeon mastering.
Yeah.
So I had to create my own world. So I love reading these books. Like one of my most recent characters I based off of Constance from We've Always Lived in the Castle.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, no, it's really good. And the next book that we talk about, I kind of based one of my characters on a D&D stream that I'm doing off of Kaya. So, I mean, I get a lot of my inspiration from literature and just kind of everything. But yeah, that's kind of who I am.
Yeah, well, Dungeons and Dragons is almost like historical fiction because you have this whole like world that's already built out with all of these things that have happened and all these rules and how things already behave.
Right, exactly. And it is kind of cool though because a lot of recently people have been breaking out of that, like in modern literature, how people have been trying to break out of like the stereotypical ideas of race and what it means to be a woman and what it means to be the sex that you are, what that means to the story. A lot of people have been doing that in Dungeons and Dragons as well, and like all these other tabletop gaming. So that's so interesting to be a part of. So
love it.
It's so good. I love it.
Awesome. Well, now tell us, what book would you like to be seen made into a movie?
Okay, I'll start my first one off with a fantasy book series. I actually just read the first one and I'm working on the second one right now. It's the Dragonlance series, which is based off of Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, nice.
It's really good. It's what we need. I think they might actually try to create it into something, but with like The Witcher being turned into a series, and I think like they're doing the Wheel of Time series, which is Jesse's favorite fantasy like series. Like the market might be oversaturated in fantasy, but the books are just so good because the world is built out, but it's not like with Game of Thrones where you have to know literally everything about everything.
Yeah.
So it makes it really easy to follow. And the characters are really great because one of the main characters is like a natural born leader, but he is a half elf. So he's having to deal with how elves cannot stand not pure lines. And so they don't listen to him, but everybody's trying to like, they're like, we trust him and we believe in him 100%. It's very Aragorn, like kind of like a lot of Dungeons and Dragons is Lord of the Rings, basically.
I love it. Yeah.
But it's so good, and just how strong a lot of the female characters in it are, and that's always, I mean, exciting for a woman who enjoys reading and enjoys fantasy. If there isn't a strong female character in it, I'm probably not going to read it at this point. It's 2019, people. Like, it's easy.
Get with the program.
Yeah, get with it. So, probably the Dragonlance series, I think.
Love it.
Yeah.
Did you have a second one?
Did I have a second one?
Oh, sorry. I thought we were leading up to a second one.
No. No. I was like, I just want to start with fantasy, but now I want to think, do I have a second one? I'd love to see more... just like horror novels in general, because I mean The Haunting of Hill House was so good, and I think that they should just continue with that trend of turning more horror novels into film and turning those into film, because they're all really good, and they're all like, a lot of the lore and story just comes a lot from like people's own personal demons.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think the appeal for me is the psychological aspect of it, because I don't really appreciate horror movies where it's just all blood and like chopping people up.
I know. The entire 2000s in horror was really bad for all of us.
I think I'm just really squeamish, and that's what it is. I'm
like, it doesn't really have any substance at that point, because it's just Okay, I don't like when my arm comes off.
Yeah.
I hate that. So you're right. You got me there, buddy.
Yeah. There was a ton of moments in Game of Thrones where I had to like cover my eyes or leave the room, and I'm like, oh, that's such a wimp of me.
Oh,
But
no, yeah. No, I totally understand
But
that.
psychological demons taunting people, I'm totally cool with that.
I love
That's
that
great.
shit. Love it. So yeah, just more horror in general.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what about authors? Do you have a favorite author?
I do, and probably this has been one of my favorite authors for a really long time, and I don't know how okay it is that he's one of my favorite authors, but I've always really loved Ernest Hemingway. Like, I felt
Hemingway.
always really connected.
Yeah, I love Hemingway, and he's such a good example of, I think, that era of writing too.
Absolutely.
Like, the Lost Generation was all about, like, no nonsense, like, prose, just everything very black and white.
Absolutely.
It was
and
very disillusioned.
exactly, and I feel like a lot of people that I know that like authors of that time are really into F. Scott Fitzgerald, who I hated with every fiber of my being.
Oh, I love him.
I don't know. I'm like, you're one of those people.
I do love him.
And
He
I'm
was
like-
also very good, but in a different way
way.
than Hemingway.
Exactly, and I just appreciated a lot more of Ernest Hemingway's writing. Like A Farewell to Arms was one of my favorite stories growing up. So Hemingway is probably one of my favorite authors. I'm like trying to think of like aside from that, like that's my thing. It's like I like stories, and I'm really bad at coming up with like my favorite books and my favorite authors. Like it's like I just like things in the moment, and I'm like living them, and I like them in that way. That's what ends up happening.
Yeah, well, there's so many good choices that it's hard to say this is my ultimate choice above everything else. Because it does depend on mood or what point of your life you're in.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
the weather.
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Like, did I eat chocolate cake that day?
Yeah.
No? Maybe
Yeah,
I'm not
don't like
gonna
this.
like. Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'm not an Edgar Allan Poe fan that day.
Yeah, exactly.
My name is Raven, so I have to throw it
Yeah,
in.
you have to be.
Anyway. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Next one.
Yep, next one is... Oh no, what was the next one?
Favorite poet.
Favorite poet, thank you. I should know that one. Poetry was like my thing.
That is
Dang
your
it.
thing. It's not my thing.
I know.
specifically.
I'm the one that was like, yes, add that question in.
Yeah, but I did it because I was like, you love poetry, and
do love
I am
poetry.
getting more into poetry.
Yeah.
Not as much as you, though.
Yeah.
But you're also a poet, where I'm not as much of a poet.
Yeah. I will say, too, that for probably the first 22 years of my life, I hated poetry. I thought it was, like, pompous and over the top and, like, really flowery. And I was like, no, none of that. I just want straight prose. I don't want anything to do with poetry. Mm-hmm. And then I took a class in college that was a visiting writer series class. So writers would come to the university to talk, and our class would read their books beforehand, and then we'd get, like, private interviews with them.
Ooh, very cool.
Yeah. So the very first person who came to visit in that class was Kim Andonisio, who is a very famous poet from San Francisco. And her poetry is just, like, I think, so on brand for me and resonated so well that I was like, shit, I've been ignoring poetry all this time.
I didn't know poetry could be this way.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was used to just, reading in high school, like, Robert Frost and, all the classics.
Yeah.
And Shakespeare and Spencer and Milton. And I'm like, not for me. None of this resonates.
Yeah, no, and all that, too, is very much like, do I have to continue? I mean, I feel like when you're forced to read something in school, it's basically never going to be what you like.
Yeah.
You always think it's not what you like. A Farewell to Arms for me really resonated. I think it might have been one of the only books I read during American literature. So
You're like,
I'm pretty sure everything else was Spark Notes, and that was all.
Your teachers are going to go back now and rewrite all your grades.
Miss Carver, please don't. I love you so much.
I did so well.
I did so well. I did really well on that AP test, I think. So
That's all that matters.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so my favorite poet.
Yes.
So this is very specific because I'm not really into poetry all that much. So I have two from what I've read of theirs. I don't know very many poets, but I have two. So I mean, I feel like that's
Love
pretty
it. Lay it on
exciting. So I really love when I met Jesse. I was really into E.E. Cummings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that reminds me of that time in my life. So I have a soft spot for E.E. Cummings, and he's not an anti-Semite, so that's fine.
He's
I think
one of the few people from the 1920s
that
was okay.
Yeah, no, not that I can find on the internet. So I mean, if he is, please tell me.
Yeah.
So just it reminds me so much of that time that I was always really interested in his work. So E.E. Cummings is one, and then the other one, which I remembered kind of as you were talking, is Christina Rossetti.
Oh, I don't think I know
you don't know her? Oh, okay, good.
Send me.
I sent you, and I am always saying that because she did this poem called "The Goblin Market," and it's basically this like beautiful. I think it's like a beautiful version of storytelling where it's very long, but it basically talks about how this very beautiful girl is trying to. It's basically about escaping kind of the life that you're in, and she's just trying to experience new things while her sister is like. It's very much almost like no, I guess it's not really. Oh, okay. Anyways, so her sister's like, no, you have to be safe. Like, you need to not go to the Goblin Market, and she just continues to go to the Goblin Market.
I would go to the Goblin Market,
and she like sacrifices herself a little bit more and more every time she goes. It's very good. I really enjoy the Goblin Market, and I really enjoy like the rest of her work. So that's basically it. Basically, poems that also tell a story because obviously I'm a huge Edgar Allan Poe fan. And so, that's all his work. Like,
you're like, obviously.
Obviously. I mean, I can't not enjoy Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, blasphemy.
Yes, exactly. I'd be disowned. So, yeah, that's me. That's me, guys.
Love it.
Yes, that was good. All right, well, let's start talking about our book. All right, so that's it. That's our preview for Book and Pitch.
Oh, boy, that was good.
Love it?
Yeah, I love it.
So good, right? We're so cute.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good podcast. And I, myself, am reading all the books and looking forward to hearing you guys discuss them. So.
Yeah, if you want to join along and read the books with us, we have a calendar that shows the upcoming month and all the books that we're reading. So you can look at that. Our first episode is We Have Always Lived in the Castle. Our second episode is Where the Crawdads Sing. And our third episode is It.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm very excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then in Co-op the Podcast news, look forward to our next episode on Tuesdays.
Every Tuesday.
So that you can now have something to listen to, Tuesday, Thursday.
You're never
every other
gonna
Thursday.
get rid of us.
Yeah, you can hear Raven's voice at least
Yes.
many times. I gotta come up with another podcast
You
now.
got to.
Do you fill the Wednesday slot?
Yeah, you gotta fill that slot. It's an empty slot.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and we'll let you guys all go now. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Co-op the Podcast.
Yep. Follow Book and Bitch at Book and Bitch Pod on Instagram and Twitter.
Yep.
And then we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, that's good enough. All right. Later.
Okay, bye.